And I wondered about this. I always wondered what makes this holiday so special. There is no miracle of oil like 200 or so years later with the Hanukkah menorah, 250 years later. There is no Kriyas Yamsuf, splitting of the Red Sea. There's no revelation of God on Mount Sinai. There's no death of the firstborn that leads to the Exodus. Just a series of stories. We've talked about different things over the few years that we've been on this video channel. There are things that happen that make us feel good. There are things that happen that are supernatural. There are things that happen that are meaningful. But when ordinary things take place, we believe that this is by divine providence. But still, everything is by divine providence. Why would we make a holiday that comes through natural means into something that is the most important commandment, most important holiday of the year? For Purim will not be forgotten even after the Messiah comes. All the other holidays will become nullified, but not Purim. Why is Purim so special? The answer is as follows. A lot of miracles take place with certain events. God intervenes, an army intervenes, an angel intervenes, a plague happens. Things happen that are beyond nature. Things happen that lead us to a greater perspective and appreciation. What happens in the Megillah is that the very elements of danger that caused the danger to come in the first place become completely transformed into goodness and positiveness. I'll give you several examples. The first thing that the rabbis note is that there was a big party. A big party, you can just imagine what kind of a party it was. People getting drunk and people having everything they wanted. What other pleasures were there? And the people of Israel also participated in that feast. It was a drunken party. And it caused a tremendous attack in heaven on the people of Israel. What are these people doing? They're in exile. And the king takes out the vessels of the temple and he's drinking from it. And everybody's drinking with him. Shows a complete contempt for what Jewish life stands for. Maybe there should be no Jews if they can't stand up for their Jewish identity, the Jewish holiness. So there's a big feast. And the feast leads to drunkenness. And the drunkenness leads to an attack on the people of Israel. And this happens again with Haman. Haman has a drinking party with Achashverosh. And at the drinking party, he gets Achashverosh to sign whatever he wants, that all the Jews should be killed. So there are two drunken parties. There were two drunken parties that Esther made for Achashverosh, and as a result of those drunken parties, Haman loses his head. And whatever he stands for gets destroyed as well. Another interesting fact. everybody bowed down to Haman, and they reported that Mordecai refused to bow down to him. So people snitched on Mordecai. They weren't afraid of Mordecai. Mordecai was a big man, but he was a Jew, and people were not afraid of snitching on a Jew. At the end of the Parsha, at the end of the Megillah, people are afraid of Mordecai. Mordecai's the big shot. Mordecai, the guy who they were snitching on for not bowing down, he's the one that they're all afraid of. He's the one that they are now bowing down to. By not bowing down, everybody bows down to Mordecai. The opposite takes place. The same thing is true. The gallows that Haman makes for the people of Israel, for Mordecai, those are the same gallows that he gets hung on. The instrument of attack becomes the instrument of defense. On the very day that the people of the Amalekites, Hamanites, wanted to get rid of Israel, on that very day that was supposed to be the destruction of the Jews, becomes the day that the Jews take revenge of their enemies. Queen Vashti hated Jews, abused Jews. Her position was taken by a Jewish girl whose son made sure that the temple of the Jews got built. Darius, son of Xerxes, was also the son of Esther, Jewish boy, by the way, and he made sure that the temple was built properly. Vashti was opposed to that. She got her head handed to her in more ways than one. Her replacement saw to it that the temple would be built. Mordecai was the object of Haman's scorn. In the end, Mordecai became the ruler of Haman's household. And on and on. All the events that took place in the danger for the people of Israel became transformed into good, every single one of them. Xerxes, or Ahasuerus, became the father of a Jewish child. Now, you might think that this is a terrible thing that took place. Everything by divine providence. Without doubt, Darius, the son of Esther, if he didn't do tshuva, if he didn't return, I am certain that one of his descendants, who bore his soul and his name, eventually did come back. For everything that's found in the Megillah, the negatives all became positives. And the only one who can make negatives out of positives out of negatives, goodness out of evil, the only one who can do that is God. And because we see so many positives transforming negatives, negatives themselves becoming positives, we recognize that this is the hand of God more than in any other holiday. There is no other holiday where the negatives became positives like on Purim.